Welcome back, everyone. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the National Life Group Annuity product suite. And whenever we're doing the company breakdowns, as we're going through this, we're going to go through who the company is so we can learn a little bit about the company, the style of company they are, and then obviously we'll get into the different products that they have too. But anyway, again, my name is Dan Trinati. I am the CEO and owner of 360 Financial Group and the Trinati Insurance Agency. If you are new to our channel, we break down everything in regards to annuities and retirement for you to make a sound decision for your retirement future. If you are near retirement or thinking about your retirement options and what these products actually do for folks and do for you, make sure you stick around because this could be a good episode to learn everything there is about the growth annuities and income annuities that National Life Group offers. And a lot of the annuity companies will have very similar product offerings. This is a really good company to break down because they have really good products for the growth side and good products for the income side as well. If you want any help evaluating the decisions for your retirement situation and want a custom retirement report, just go ahead. The link to our website is down there in the descriptions. You can find a time to meet on our calendar. Just submit the info and we'll get in touch. And as always, if you are finding value with the content that we're getting out there, please, send us a like, a share, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment down there in the comment section. That would mean a lot to us. And as I mentioned before, anytime that we're doing a company and product breakdown, we always like to get into first who the company is, their financial ratings, how long have they been in business, the stability of this company. And then we get into actually what the products are that company offers, because they can have the best products, but if the company's a bit sketchy, it's not telling the whole story. So we want to make sure that we're always using a very solid company and a very solid product as well. And after we get through this main part here, then we're going to go break down all the different products, the growth, the income options, the MYGAs, the multi-year guarantees. Anyway, a little bit about National Life Group. So first off, I absolutely love the people over at National Life Group. Repping the retire here today, I had the pleasure to meet a lot of their C-suite, including Mayron, who's the CEO up in Vermont at their headquarters, and also did a couple really cool trips with them over to Hawaii and down in Mexico as well. But anyway, National Life Group is a rock solid company in the life insurance and annuity space. They're one of the original mutual companies. They were founded back in 1848, so they ain't going anywhere. And they're really, really good core values as a company. But the reason a mutual company is important to you guys as you're considering annuity products is that it means that they're not owned by any outside entity. The policyholders, the owners of the company, which is very, very important because that just typically means more times than not that their interest aligns with you, the client, more than it does some shareholder or private equity firm. So we always like to, not always, but I say 9 times out of 10, if considering everything else equal, we like to choose a mutual company or an ESOP company, which means that they're employee owned, over someone that's going to be like private equity. Obviously they have outside investors that they got to appease. So all else the same, we like to use the mutual companies for the first line of defense whenever we are looking at annuity products. So now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm just going to give you guys a little worksheet here. So breaking down the National Life Group product suites. So they have a bunch of different annuity options out there. They're going to have your traditional growth annuities, your income annuities, more of a flexible annuity, and then also our multi-year guaranteed. The ones that we are going to review today are going to be the Zenith Growth, the Growth Driver, and the Income Driver. So the Zenith Growth is going to be their flagship annuity when it comes to a purely growth focused annuity. The Growth Driver is going to be their growth annuity with the bonus, and virtually every company has one with the bonus. And I'm going to show you, we've done this in a couple other trainings as well, but why I really prefer to use the just traditional growth annuity over any type of bonus annuity. But some key features when it comes to National Life Group, especially with their growth annuities, is the first one is going to be dollar cost averaging. So we're going to spend a little time on this one. When we put a money into an annuity, in terms of how it grows on what's called a point-to-point system. So if you took, this is June 6th, 2025. If you put money June 6th, 2025, let's say you put $500K, your money in the annuity is going to get credited on June 6th, roughly June 6th of 2026. So how did the S&P 500 do from this point in time to this point in time? And that's going to dictate how much growth you have in the policy. So if that one specific point in time was really high, you did really well. If it didn't, that means you got 0% interest for the whole year. Well, with dollar cost averaging in National Life Group, let's say you have that $500K, they're going to put a portion of your premiums in June, a portion in July, a portion in August, September, October, until after the year. The whole $500,000 is now inside of the annuity. So let's just say for round numbers, 40K in 1 month. Well, the other $460,000, that's going to get roughly like 3.5% growth on the whatever has not been placed inside of the annuity yet. So it's just a way to kind of hit a bunch of singles when we're seeing the growth inside of our contracts. And every month kind of has its own bucket. So June to June, that'll have interest credit on that 40K. The next July to July, you'll get interest credited on that 40K as well. Other key features about National Life Group, they do have really good S&P 500 cap pricing, some of the best on the market. And they also do have what's called a trigger index. We'll look into that a little bit more as well, which is really, really cool, because whenever the S&P is positive, even if it just does 0.001%, if it is ever positive, you are going to get 8%. This isn't available in every single state, but most states you do have this option. And they do have a 10% free withdrawal starting in year 2, which is really important just for your flexibility of the policy if you ever need some more cash. Some other annuity companies out there might have potentially, sometimes, not all the time, like a little bit better rates, but they might limit this to like 5%, meaning your money is pretty much held up and you're not going to have nearly as much access to it. But that's going to be the growth annuity. We're going to dive into the rate sheets on this. We'll dive into some illustrations as well. On the income annuities, there are 2 of them that they have. The one that we're going to review here today is going to be the income driver. This is going to be the primary one that you would use if you're going to be looking at an income annuity on that side. And they also have another one called the Zenith income as well, which does have a charge on this. Typically most of the income annuities that you're going to look at that generate the most amount of income would have a charge. And as you guys know, I'm typically not a big fan of charges when it comes to annuity contracts. But if you are looking just for the most amount of income, I don't really see an issue putting a charge on that, because you're just looking at it for the income. Few features when it comes to the National Life Group income annuity, the income driver specifically, they do have very competitive pricing and income rates when you're going to go turn on the income. And if you're ever using stuff like Annuity Rate Watch, or your agent's using that for you, or Annuity Genius, they are consistently one of the top ones that's going to give you the most contractual guaranteed income. And then again, they do have very strong cap rates and pricing for an income annuity. And part of the importance here too, some of the income annuities are going to really, really drop the cap what the growth is for your cash inside the policy. But National Life Group as a whole, with their income annuity, have very, very strong cap rates when it comes to the growth inside the annuity contract, which is very important. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility if you're going to take in the income. So even if the income might be like $1,000, let's just say $1,000, $2,000 less per year, for example, you might still have more access to the cash inside that policy to use if anything changes for your goals. The 1% charge, these are going to be pretty standard across most different annuity companies. And this 1% charge will be based on what's called the benefit base, what your income is going to be based off. Your income is not going to be based off how much cash has grown inside the policy. Whenever you're looking at an income annuity, they're going to be typically looking at what's called a benefit base. The income is just based on a different calculation. So we'll show you what that looks like too. And then also the Zenith income, again, we're not going to really go through that today. So I would not use that if I was looking at more of an income annuity, but it is going to be performance based. So it does depend how the markets are performing, and based on how the market performs, that is what your guaranteed income is going to be based off of. And National Life Group does also have some flexible annuities, and typically the only time we would use this is for people that don't have at least 100, 200K saved up yet. We're still building that retirement. You could look at their Flex Secure lineup. This used to be called the Fit Secure lineup. Now it is the Flex Secure. So you're going to putting in $500, $1,000 a month, something like that, and grow that for retirement. And one really cool feature with their flexible annuities is that it can actually be used as a Roth IRA. So if you're looking for more security in your portfolio and you are trying to build, not distribute the income yet, but you're trying to build money safely, this could be a great option for you. But you can, again, put in that monthly amount. And then the last one here, the multi-year guaranteed annuities with National Life Group, is going to be their Retire Max series. You can either get it in 3, 5, or 7-year contracts. The longer the contract, the higher the payout they're typically going to give you. So right now it's at about 4.6%, which is about average on this side. For example, Athene does have one that I think right now is at 5.3%, and these do change, every couple days for different companies, new rates come out. But Athene was like 5.3%. We'd only get 5% free withdrawal unless anything has changed on that side. So it's a little bit less growth, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility if you ever needed some extra cash. But what I want to do next is show you guys the difference between their growth annuities. And this will really highlight the difference between every type of growth annuity that you guys are looking at, whether it's just a regular growth annuity or if it's a growth annuity with a bonus. And keep in mind, these are all fixed indexed annuities that we are looking at here. The growth and the income ones are all fixed indexed annuities, and they're flexible one as well. The multi-year guaranteed is not a fixed indexed annuity. That's just a guaranteed annuity. So let's take a look at the Zenith Growth. We're going to take a look at their rate sheets so you guys can start seeing how they're priced, and we'll compare that to the growth driver, the one with the bonus on top of that. So we're going to take a look at the Zenith Growth one. This would be an example of someone putting in $500,000 into this annuity. And what we're looking at here is their rate sheet. It's going to describe to us, what different indexing options do we have available. I'll kind of break it down into sections here and before we dive further into it. So we're going to look at their 1-year crediting strategies, which I typically like to use the best. There's going to be what's called a rate booster, which they're going to charge you typically about 1%. And again, this is common across a lot of different annuity companies. You're going to have the 2-year crediting strategies. And again, then just the 2-year with the fee on top of that. On the 2-year strategies, you're typically going to see higher growth potential. For example, over here, if we're looking at the S&P 500, you got a 23% cap versus just a 10% cap inside the S&P 500 for the 1 year. But if you're using a 2-year crediting system, it's going to depend from June 2025 to June 2027. How did the S&P 500 do in those 2 years? It doesn't matter what it does anywhere in between. It's just from that one point in time to the other. So if it went up, let's say, 10%, and then went down 10%, you would have seen no gain. But that's why I typically like using the 1-year crediting strategies, even though the rates are a little bit lower. If it went up that 1 year, you get locked in at 10% for that growth. And if it went down the next year, it doesn't matter. You're now reset at that new low before it starts going back up again. But let's take a look at the pricing, the different indexes that they have available. So there's typically like 5 different ones to choose from here. If there's one thing that I wish they improved, is how many indexing options that we have available for the 1-year interest crediting strategies. They do have some really, really good pricing for their S&P 500 indexes. We have the S&P 500 1-year point-to-point index. So I typically allocate about 50% of it into that, and then 50% into the performance trigger. So obviously, if you guys have been sticking around listening to these trainings or other ones online, you know that annuities have a floor and a cap for a participation rate base. So with National Life Group, the current rate is 10%. This is priced very, very competitively when it comes to the S&P indexing strategies. The most that we could earn in a given year would be 10%. And on the trigger rate, again, if the markets are ever 0.001% positive, you get that 8%. So I typically like to split it about 50-50 between the two. And one other thing I wish National Life Group did have, but this is one of the important reasons of working with a mutual company and the performance of the company, is the guaranteed rate. So here it's guaranteed to have a cap of no less than 0.25%. Armageddon would have to happen for this scenario to come true and come to fruition. And the performance trigger the same at 0.25%. But typically when you're working with A+ rated companies like National Life Group and mutual companies, they're not known for changing the rates a crazy amount. Will they change? Could this go down to 9 or 8? Sure. It could in the future, but they're typically going to be very true to what it was in the current day environment when you purchase that contract. The other one down here, the monthly sum, I'm typically not going to use something like that, but these bottom ones are what annuity companies are going to call their volatility control indexes, VC indexes. I'm not a big fan of these. They have to price it with a participation rate that's pretty high. Now, if you're seeing sky high returns on an illustration, people are probably using more of the VC indexes, and a lot of these, they just haven't been around for too long. You guys all know what the S&P 500 is. Been around since the precursor to like 1920, average about 10.5% since it came out. So there's a lot of history behind it. There's a lot of stats behind it that we know it's tried and true and what it should do. These VC ones like the Global Balance, and again, it's not to say this would be a bad index to put it in, but again, there's just not a ton of data behind a lot of these indexes. So I'm not going to put my clients' money into those indexes. But anyway, how these are priced in terms of how the participation rate reads, it'll be 165%. So that means if this index did 10%, you get 165% of it. There's no cap on it. It's all just based on that participation rate. But the indexes are typically never designed to do more than like 2, 3, 4%. That's why they have to have a good pricing on this side to make it even relatively attractive. So the S&P 500 is where I like to stay. So we put a 50% into the cap and a 50% into the trigger. One's not necessarily better or worse than the other, so I just like to mesh them two together. For other companies, they might have like a participation rate based on the S&P, which I really like. Midland has one. Right now, Lincoln has the best one on the market. There's a 62%, I believe, on the participation rate for the S&P 500. But what I want you guys to take a look at here, this is the annuity without a bonus on it. Right, so we're going to take a look at the cap rates. Lock these in the back of your head. We got a 10% cap and an 8% trigger. If we ended up going with their growth driver product, so the same type of rates or same rate sheet, but just different caps and participation rates, you're going to see a 7%. Instead of 10, you're going to be capped at 7%. So you would get with National Life Group a 10% bonus up front. So if you put in $100,000, you get $10,000 out of the gate, but they're going to decrease the future earning potential of your policy. So there's no such thing as a free lunch. So again, if you guys pay attention to my other content, you know that I do not like bonus annuities unless we really need to get you out of a bad annuity for whatever reason. then we just need to get some more cash infused into your policy to pass the suitability test. But at this 7% and a 5.75% trigger rate, these are 30% lower earning opportunities. So it might look sexy up front, but again, there's no such thing as free money. So I'm typically going to stay away from any of those type of annuities. And that's not a National Life Group thing. That's just company-wide or product and industry-wide. I don't like to use the bonus annuity. So that is why it's really important for you guys to understand the difference between just the growth annuity and the growth annuity with the bonus. And now you'll kind of see it on my screen. I'm going to share you the illustrations of what it would have done without the bonus and then with the bonus. So this is going to look at the last 10 years of data, going from 2015 to 2024. How this reads, just so you guys can get familiar with that. This is assuming we're putting in $500,000 the first year, 0% growth, whatever. Okay, cool. Death benefit 500,000. And the death benefit is just going to be synonymous with the accumulation value. But let's go down to like year 4 here. And this is important with the growth annuities as well. So this year we saw 0% growth. So we stayed at the 592. So every time we have a gain in principal, there's a new, for lack of better words, like step up in basis. So we now have a new floor of that 592. And then if the S&P 500 did go down that year, this low point is your new. So you're going to start down here. When it goes back up again, that's what your interest is going to get credited off of. So again, this is hypothetical, but let's say after 10 years, we would have had about $913,000 in this contract right here. If we took the bonus annuity, let's say we did that one and we go to the most recent 10 years, it'd be about $848,000. So, 913, 848, that's a pretty significant difference. It's almost 5-6% difference that we're looking at on the cash value side of it. So it might look sexier up front. If we go over here to the bonus one, you see the bonus, that 50K. The one benefit of a bonus, if heaven forbid you did die, there would be a little bit more legacy left behind. But I would, again, if you're looking for legacy, I would not be purchasing the growth annuity for a legacy. There are actually other products out there that are really good at leaving a good legacy behind for your family. The earnings are just going to be a lot smaller, instead of 7, 8, 9% potentially. And the other one, you're going to see 6.38% here. So in the first couple of years, you'll see more money. In year 4, there's 622. And over here, and just the non-bonus one, 592. So in this year, technically you're ahead in the bonus one, but over time that's going to change because your growth potential is going to be a lot lower in the future. So that is the growth annuity breakdown between the Zenith Growth and the growth driver. The income driver with National Life Group is going to be their flagship income annuity. So if you were looking for the most amount of income, you would end up going with the income driver. It does have a fee attached. We'll look at that in a second, but this is what I mean by them having competitive rates. If you're not studying a bunch of different annuity contracts, you might not know this, but their cap rate on this is pretty strong. It's 8% on the income annuity. A lot of companies, you'll even see an S&P 500 have a 3 or 4% cap, which is just going to decrease the liquidity of the account that you have as well. So anyway, the rates are very solid on this side of it, but it is going to come with a 1% charge in terms of accessing the cash. So if you're looking for the most amount of income, you might want to go not the most amount of income, but the most amount of guaranteed income, you'd want to look at an income annuity. But when you do an income annuity, you pretty much are going to be giving up control of the assets, as it does have a charge associated with it, but your income is going to be contractually guaranteed. So right now we're just looking even at the guaranteed elements of National Life Group. So we put in that $500,000, and there are a couple different ways that you could set up the policy on the income side, but this would just be the most common one we're looking at here. We put in $500,000 and we just let it sit and wait. You see there is a charge attached to this. So it's going to be $6,875, which is going to come out of your accumulation value. Well, this right here, this charge is coming off of what's called your benefit base. And this is how they calculate the amount of income that you're going to get in the future. So it's always typically going to be 1% of whatever that benefit base is. That's what they're charging you. And that's what they're going to take out of the accumulation value. So in Armageddon situation, if the markets did tank for the next 10 years, the account would get depleted. You'd only have about $209,000. And it's like, well, actually right here, you have about $460, and then you start taking income out, and then you get that $52K for the rest of your life. And if you have a spouse or something as well, you could put a joint income or a joint annuitant on this, so it also pays out for their lifetime as well. It depends how old they are. If they're a lot younger, the income is obviously going to be a lot smaller because they have a longer life expectancy in front of them. They have more years ahead of them. But what's really cool with the income annuities, and again, this is going to be very similar between every single company. All the numbers that we're looking at over here are going to be guaranteed. So if you turn on income on day 1, 1, it would be a guaranteed 25,938 if you turn it on beginning of year 2. So day 360-ish of the very beginning, after the 12th month, 1 day, you're going to be looking at 29,906. If you wait until year 7, so this would be the beginning of year 7 here, it'd be a 52,000 bucks. And that would be guaranteed for the rest of your life. It does not matter what the stock market does ever again, that money is guaranteed. And if we look down at the non-guaranteed, so just looking at the most recent 10 years of data, we would see now you're getting interest credited, but then it still does have that charge on it, right? But at least we're seeing some growth offset that. So the money in the policy is going to last a bit longer, but there's still that $10,000 charge a year. That's not nothing. This is what I mean by when you're trading your asset for income. So this would give you a little bit more flexibility to access that money, but still roughly when you're 73, you see these go to 0. That means that there's no more money left in the policy. Your income's still going to come in. And if you have a joint payout option, your spouse would still receive income. But if you died and had this option set and there's no money left in the policy, there's not going to be any money going to the spouse or to the kids, because we already used all of the money inside of the policy. So if you're looking at leaving a legacy behind, I probably wouldn't go with an income annuity. And again, that's not a National Life Group thing. That's just in anything. Today, we're just studying the National Life Group policy as well. What is cool with National Life Group as well, let's say in this year, you needed $100,000. For whatever reason, you needed more money than that 52K. Well, whatever percentage you take out of the policy is going to be the percentage of future income that is decreased. If you withdraw an extra 10%, just the lifetime income is also going to go down 10%. And National Life Group has what's called a 10% roll-up. So every year, you're almost getting an extra 10% on the income that you're going to get. And it's good for 10 years. After year 11, it's not going to go up that much anymore. So if you're looking at an income annuity between the 0 and 10 years, National Life Group could be a great fit. But if it's longer than that, we're probably not going to want to use National Life Group because the roll-up rate changes. The amount of extra income that they're going to provide you does no longer go up at that 10% rate. But this is going to be their income annuity on this side. So again, income annuities would be great for someone that just wants, guaranteed income in retirement, and they don't really want to worry about anything. You just want to, hey, every month you got your Social Security coming in, you got your pension coming in, and we add this and you're all set. You're good to go. But those are the big differences. And I hope you guys got a lot of good stuff out of that between the Zenith Growth, the growth driver, the income driver, the differences between all of them. Those are the ones that I wanted to go over with you guys. Those will be the most common annuities that you would work with, and their pricing is very strong and their income is also very strong. And I'm going to share with you guys some overall feedback about National Life Group and my recommendation on this side. National Life Group is a great company. I would check that off. They are a mutual company. They're A+ rated, and they have a very, very long track record dating back to 1848. Cool, solid. The surrender charges are very good in your favor on that side, and the free withdrawal provisions are also really good. They check that box. They do have very competitive S&P 500 rates, and also the trigger rate is very, very strong as well. The two things I did wish that they had more of, but I would not get a National Life Group annuity because of this. I wish they had some more S&P 500 focused indexes, indexing creditings, and the other one is pretty small. I wish they allowed for more flexible contributions on their main products. So the Zenith Growth, you can't put any money into that one after it's already started. You'd have to start a new one. That is a very small thing though, because it's very easy to just start another annuity as well. Their income annuity is always typically one of the tops on the markets. And overall, I can definitely recommend National Life Group as a company and the growth for their annuity products. So I do really like National Life Group for many different facets. But as always, every company is going to be different. What income annuity is for a 55-year-old in California, single, looking to retire in 60 years. The one company is best for them, and a different company is better for someone that's 70, retiring in Florida, and they need income immediately. And is there a spouse involved? Is there a joint payout involved? Every annuity company is going to compete in their space. So a growth annuity for this specific scenario or an income annuity for this specific scenario. So what we help you guys all do is figure out, based on your scenario, what one would give you the best rates and be the most advantageous for your retirement. And it could be that it's a combination between the two. It could be an income annuity for this piece of your retirement or a growth annuity for this piece of your retirement. You don't have to have just all your eggs in this basket or that basket. We can split them up to make sure you have your guaranteed income, contractually for the rest of your life, to the penny what your income is going to be between a Social Security, pension, and income annuity. And then on the other side, if you looked at the growth annuity, that'd be more like your fund money on that side. And a lot of times too, when you use the growth annuity, you can have a similar income stream. It's just not going to be guaranteed. So if you had 500K, it grew to $1 million, you might be able to take out 50, 60K per year and have a very similar income stream to the income annuity and retain control of that asset. So if you wanted to cash it all out, you still have all that money in there. It's just not going to be guaranteed. So everything depends on your personal situation. So I hope you guys found this helpful as we broke down the National Life Group suite of annuity products. If you do have any questions about your scenario, you can either drop a comment down below, or you just go over to our website and you can find a time to chat on my calendar. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll chat next time. Bye.